Cheers. Arthur, how you doing?
Spray foam. Spray foam.
It
definitely is
amazing. All clear?
Yeah.
Thank you.
How can you have that much bad luck?
I know.
It's good. We are trying to keep a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah, it's been rank.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, you think you're going? Yeah. And this time.
Not all we need. Little chili.
Amen.
We got one furnace that's working well too, actually.
Yeah.
The third one, like, some company, every company, those Christmas, but yeah.
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 And then it's from.
I think we're trying to get people.
Yeah. So you carry around space.
Good, how are you? Good.
And,
You're right here.
a water bottle.
Nice.
Howdy. Don't break on. Well, I'm done. The only guys in there have welders, so it's warm anyway, so.
Well, that's why it's not working.
Thanks. Taking. I have the time change as I was.
Oh, really? Yes. They should have been wrong. Did you read them? Yeah.
I know, it's, yeah. I mean, he's 14.
Okay, well, if you don't read them, I am not gonna read them. That's right.
I read them. Go through them and then remind myself where it was like.
First one this year. We got one last year.
So we can affair this year.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Pretty good. Good start to it.
I drove by here after the snow yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I drove by, I was going up this year.
We would have been there some years. We'd have been there today. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Kate, we're gonna have to tell them.
A good old lady. We'll get this started. I think I know Jeff is not gonna be here. He's got a meeting upstairs. So I think this is pretty much the group here. Thank you for coming again. That'd be great. We're gonna start with, we'll call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is just the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Did you get a chance to take a look at those? So I'm gonna print them out. I'll second.
Discussion,
Okay.
just one thing that needs to be added is specific, committee members
Right.
who actually attended. I was not there, so, so I think that should be added as a.
Okay. Okay, we'll add that this minute. So do we get a motion to approve? We've got nothing done. Approve. Okay, all in favor, aye. Aye. Vote. Okay, so we're gonna move on. So there's not a lot on the agenda because I want to leave some time for this next meeting. With BYSA in here again. And we want to discuss the turf, in the BOR. I think we're getting to a critical time in it because there's a time constraint. As everyone knows, there's potential to get field, for a discount that's going to be used up at the Montreal, Bell Center. So we'd like to get this moving. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, we did have a meeting with Nicholas and some of the committee members a couple weeks ago. And we discussed your proposal to some degree. We also went out, and one of the biggest things, we went out and we found the rates for all the local rinks. I should have shared those with you, but I didn't. So I'll just read them off. Rutland Giorgetti is $115 an hour for residents and $130 an hour for non-residents. Castleton, the Spartan rink is $75 an hour. Manchester, the Riley rink is $100 an hour. I'm not personally familiar with that rink. Woodstock Union is 100 an hour, depending on the setup that they're looking for. CP DMCC is $125 per hour. Capital Soccer, much like what we're dealing with, Capital Soccer purchase the turf and have first dibs on the times. Capital Soccer also receives a portion of the fees collected. So it sounds like they pay the full rate, but they get a portion for the fees collected for the whole facility. Stowe, the Dale Gale Center, prime turf. Apartment building. Their Stowe is $160 an hour, which doesn't surprise me. And 169 hours non-prime turf. It's 150, and then resident groups is 25 per hour discount. So for the youth groups are paying about 125. So, based on that, we would have to kind of come up with a rate for what we would charge per hour when this goes through. So I want to open that up for discussion. I was thinking probably somewhere around $100 or $120 an hour. And what is it?
Looking at what was the original proposal? Because
We proposed 3-tier actually. I think 125 would be based on the civic center, right? But that not too critical to us.
No.
And then a second tier for the high school and civic groups within communities of around 50 or 60.
I think it's 75. What you guys had was, tier 1 DYSA 35 an hour,
Yeah.
which was based on that's what you're paying now. Tier 2 Barre area schools and local nonprofits 55 an hour, and tier 3 private parties 125. So
So it ended up somewhere around 50, 75, 100-ish.
But those just like, those just our numbers.
Yeah. It's a starting point.
The other thing just to take into consideration, when I had reached out to the different places to get ideas of what they were charging for turf, Giorgetti and Stowe are the two that have the same type of turf that we are getting.
Okay.
Whereas the other rinks that you were talking about,
Yep.
have the rollout.
Okay.
So it's not comparable.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to take that into consideration, totally up to you, but just.
So Giorgetti is the 115 an hour. And
Correct.
Stowe is the most expensive, and that's
Right.
based on that.
Right, I think they're trying to,
Yeah.
right, so, but I think you're right, I mean, if you think about it, like Rutland and Barre are very similar
Yes.
demographics, and it's the same turf,
Yeah.
and the quality of turf, that to go 115, I don't think personally would be, that bad to do in this area, because the turf is gonna be brand new and a lot nicer than the other area. Mhm.
You think this turf is better than the rollout? I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's much better.
Okay, good.
You don't get the wrinkles.
Yeah.
That a lot of those cause.
Yes.
Also concussion protocol, this is. It's actually better than grass.
Yep.
It's better than going out to a field. You concussion protocol, you have a lot better. Cleanliness, being able to take one of like the floor cleaners to it
Yep.
and actually being able to clean it. So all in all, it's a lot better turf than the rollout.
Just for the purpose of being able to describe this to others, could you send information to us about what you're describing as concussion protocol?
Mhm.
Thank
Yep.
That would be important.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and we also actually plan on we have a sample of it. Granted, it's bright blue, which I loved, but we're not going with. So we won't take into consideration the color, but, we do have a sample that we were planning on bringing to the city council meeting so that they can see just the quality of the turf.
If that's something you think we should do.
It couldn't hurt, I suppose. You said we'll see it.
Yeah. What was the, I guess, What was the feedback from the city?
The city was, next. So Nicholas was the only one there. Nicholas, is all in, he's for it. He's city manager, city manager. He was concerned about, the city council, how they would feel about it. He pushed hard, which I think not too many people here agree with. He pushed hard the fact that Barre City and Barre Town should be matched. Which is, to me, it's this is a very safe facility. That's a non.
To me, the fact that various county actually is contributing money, it's a good start.
Yes,
It's like, we don't want, I mean, reality is we used to do better. Stopped. This is a good,
The combination of the two.
well, we used to, Barry County used to contribute a lot more money to things, then they just stopped.
Swim zero and other things.
Yeah, just stopped, right, some of us are old enough now, involved in that, this transition, so to me, this was a great move, the fact that they're contributing, right, I was ready to have us contribute to that very time, right? Same, right, so,
Yeah, and I agree with John. I think it's great. I think that what I heard during the meeting that we attended was that there's a learning curve that is needed within the city about what the money is supposed to be used for. The money is not tax dollars. It is not tax dollars like the money that is coming from Barre Town, but rather it is money that is written into contracts for the betterment of the facilities. We have a contractual obligation to spend money to improve the facilities up here on the hill. It is not tax dollars. And that's a learning curve issue. And that would be a responsibility that we have to take to the table.
I agree.
So what,
Excuse me.
no, I'm just saying that's a very important point.
plus the advertising, I mean, as a company, we advertise, and that's the money we paid for that, this goes to this fund.
To me, it's very separate issues.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand, there's a whole Barre City, Barre Town, great, but that's not the case. This is a Barre City facility. This is a standalone argument. It's not an match fund situation. You guys did wonderful to go to Barre Town and get $15,000, which I think is great. I think that was a good step of faith, but I think, I don't know where Nicholas was coming to that, except that he's weary of this. In my opinion, maybe you guys can say he's weary of the city council and their support for this in times of economic hardship for the city.
Again, it's not taking money
I
from
know,
the general
but
fund.
there's images and their reality is their
Well, I
reality.
guess that's our job to
That's a learning curve.
educate them.
I agree. And he said that, he did say that the city council is aware of our fund and that it is, part of the civic center.
So the fund is paid into by companies that sell goods around the region. This is money that actually brings us together as a region. And so I view this as the least we could do. We're supposed to be purchasing items that improve our facility for the overall region. And I can't see that there could be any argument about this funding. I
would go, Jim?
Aside from BYSA, how do you see us marketing this new arena with its new floor? I mean, that's part of what I do. So how could I go out and present to Club A or the Waterbury or the Club X, White River, come to the BOR because we have turf and yada, yada, yada. So what do you think might be an attraction for us here to sell that whole building once the turf is down, or should it go down?
I think that it's one of the highest quality turfs that there is in this region.
But I'm also not talking, I'm talking about events, but who can I go after and see if they'll come up here and hold their conference or their game or whatever it is?
So Andy had reached out to Rutland. They're willing to share any information and they're great about it. And if you can't get it, we can certainly get the name of the person. But they're able to sell their turf, and they actually fill it. And this is they take it out twice a year, put it in twice a year because they have a summer program for hockey. But still, that person would have a list of all the people that use that facility, and that would be a good start to have you get that list from them and do something similar. But we're thinking that, especially the elderly groups around the area would certainly be a great, opportunity for them. Because you want to sell it, the hardest one is selling it during the day. The night times or weekends are pretty easily done, but certainly during the day would be the challenging ones. And so consequently reaching out to those groups immediately, and maybe even some of the bigger corporations around might have, they're trying to promote
I found this on the web.
equity offices nowadays, so they're trying to get a better, company, you're trying to get better company morale. And so having them use it during lunch hour or an hour before lunch or after, for whatever,
Things like pickleball and
Might work the pickleball.
You could do pickleball, but you could do basically anything that you can do on grass.
but, bocce, badminton,
Any event that you,
Volleyball.
and this is actually, if you want, you can feel free to write down her name and contact information. This is Brittany Castle with Georgetti, and she's the coordinator down there that you're more than welcome to contact too, because she's been great. Yeah.
I think we're having a lot of uses. It has to be promoted well from the city, which is something we'll have to see council. I mean, it could be any of those tournaments.
I think sports wise, you're not really gonna have an issue, because once BYSA starts using it, then a lot of the programs that are off of BYSA, that those kids play those other sports year round and things like that, like woodchuck lacrosse, for example.
Right.
They would use it. There's Barre soccer, which is different than BYSA soccer. Barre soccer is in the springtime. They would probably use it. I mean, I don't think sports wise you're gonna have an issue filling the times.
Can you remind me about sort of the care and feeding aspect and its lifespan?
At probably 15 years,
at least.
at least. And the other benefit is that these are in panels. So if one or two panels are kind of getting a little too worn in certain areas, you can just replace those specific panels rather than replacing the whole turn.
I think what people gotta understand is that this committee is 100% in favor of this. Okay? The manager's concern is that if you go to the council, and you ask for more than the 15,000 that Barre Town contributed, that if the council can't understand what we're trying to tell them, and there's concerns there, believe me, that they'll turn the whole thing down. And then that you potentially might be dead in the water as far as Barre City goes. Makes absolutely no sense to me. It's terrible, the thought, but that was his concern. Basically, he seemed to be in favor of it. If we can convince them that it's not tax dollars and it's money that's come from business far away outside of Barre City, where that money came from, and the money was saved for specifically programs like this, it doesn't make any sense. That's his concern, I think. And I'm willing to take the chance, but that's up to you guys. If you want to go there and take that chance. I don't remember the figure, but the last numbers we got, if you get this used once material or whatever, the amount that this committee would contribute goes down.
30,000 is what we could put forward, and it would make the price.
Is it?
Well, that was the total.
Say that again, so I could clarify that a little bit. There's $20,000 savings.
Yeah.
So 2 meetings ago, we came up with that. We can take us from 50 to 30. Talking to Ben, he was hoping that would take you down 10 and us down 10. So that's
Of course, some negotiation, some
to
discussion.
So just the point of clarification. So do we have a set amount that they're asking for from us?
That's
Based on that's what we're doing today. Okay, that's what we're going to try to come up with. Okay.
So I feel firmly that we're not asking the council, we're making a committee recommendation for a specific amount.
Yes.
That is, and also I feel firmly that we should have a conversation with the manager and ask him to put that on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no more representing things to the city council.
Well, we need
We'll have
to
we'll have
finish
talk
that
about
work.
that.
Yeah.
This, you guys said that, you received an email from Nicholas that we are on the agenda. Is that true?
Yes, but he's gonna put us on the 21st, the agenda for the 21st, but he didn't have a specific time yet.
Yeah, I think. Said yes, I mean, I have two questions. We've done expenditures from this fund before.
Yes. Yes. I don't know.
How's that, is it needed council approval?
I don't think so.
No.
Jeff has just gone ahead and like painting the room upstairs. As far as I know, we just did it.
So that's the first question
Yes,
that has to be answered, because maybe,
that's why consent agenda.
because
We've been told.
Rick Hart and I were on this committee when we created this fund.
Mhm.
You know, this whole, we did this for. Reason why we do it, because we were gonna do specific, the city kept on coming to us like the hockey players, figure out, pay for all this stuff, and said, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this advertising, we need to have money that's not gonna go to general fund. But
Yeah,
so,
I'll answer that question.
the other thing is, if we have to make to everybody, I think it's not a difficult argument to sit there and say, yes, I know it's time, economic difficulties, but this is something that will not only enhance the facilities, but also provides opportunities to the residents. We look at a time where in need, this actually provides revenue coming in, but also just gives, I mean, that's, I think, how you have to.
Right. I think if I can
Absolutely.
interrupt on that one real quick. You know, we haven't really talked about the revenue side. You guys put forward for what you thought BYSA would be. It's a little over $400. You know, depending on what rates we get, that's 20 to 25 grand a year of just BYSA. The baseball is one of the biggest users. That would be on top of it because baseball is not part of you guys, right? So, and then anything else we can do above it. So, you know, you're talking about a pretty significant
That
revenue
revenue goes,
generation.
the money doesn't come to general fund, but the revenue that comes in goes to general.
Right. So,
Yeah,
so
so-
to me,
so-
this is such a,
I know.
this is such a no-brainer.
Except for the replacement.
Right, that's why we should not be going to ask. We are making a recommendation, we're putting it on the consent agenda.
I'm gonna talk to Nicholas.
Use our money.
You don't do that.
Yes, yeah, right, but to me, we do need to put the revenue numbers together, but I mean, based on these simple ones, it's a real revenue generator for the city. Even replacing the turf, if you take out 30%, I think, something like that, you'd have a replacement turf after 20 years. So you're still talking about a significant amount of money. The payback to this city would be like 2 years. I mean, that's just such a no-brainer. You know, it's revenue generator, it's good for the facility, it's advertising facility, it gets people up here and it makes them money after 2 years.
The money is paying for it comes from local businesses contribute. The money that's going in is going to the general fund. It's like, it's not costing the city anything, really.
It's a huge one.
I mean, the amount of money, I
think there's
two banners, so I've been doing it for what? 12, 15 years, probably paid half of that. I should be doing double.
And I agree with
Really, haven't enough amount of money I put in over the years. You know,
Yeah, well,
banners.
BYSA's one has a banner on
Yeah,
it.
so we're, but it's not, it's the community that's paying.
When you talk about expenses or whatever, that are coming out of this fund now, his compensation is coming out of this fund, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, did the council approve that?
I don't remember that. As far as I know, the council hasn't approved any of that. That's been Jeff, but Jeff might have talked to the city manager. I don't know the numbers.
I think we should, run it with a recommendation today for the amount of money. And then possibly a separate recommendation would be for the, price tag for the hourly use. That's a separate.
Agreed. We kind of need to do both today, hopefully, because if you put, just to get the revenues, we'll need to know what people are spending. So,
Whatever you come up with for rates here, I think it's important that you're able to keep those rates for at least 2 years, and maybe 3 years, because you can't get started and then the first year start jacking this thing up. I just think as far as community support and going forward with this, because once you get the doors open on this, I think it'll take care of itself. I think it'll be a tremendous success. But it's like Steve said, and like we all believe, this is kind of our money.
The other thing too, that just, it's always a concept that I think about is the multiplier effect. Every time you get groups of people going one direction, they see some other opportunity sitting up here on the hill. And so it really just builds this huge, excitement for the things that happen here. And that's really important. It's that doesn't show up on the bottom line as easily, but we know that this is going to bring more people off season than we've ever seen before. And that's all for the good.
Yes, I agree. Let's touch base on the rates because it's been brought up a little bit. So, we did talk a little bit that our last meeting is you have 3 tiers we talked about, if that makes sense, versus 2 tiers. I think the top one based on the other rates should be somewhere around $120 an hour. If you want to go less, maybe 110 or something like that, but somewhere in that range. If we went with 2 tiers, we do have the 3 groups. You're the only one that's really putting up any money for it because of the area schools and they're not ponying up anything on this right now. So I would see a discount for BYSA. But if you want $120, just for sake of argument, let's say $120 an hour for the full rate. And BYSA is putting up 65 or 75 grand to get the turf in here, so they should have like a lower rate. 35 I think is too low because it does have turf. So just to throw it out there, if we went 50%, that was $60 an hour. That means that your payback on the 75 would probably be 3 years, something like that, 4 years of discounts. I would think based on the 400 hours. So that's the starting point. What does everyone think about that? That's 120 full, 60 and a half rate off, 60 for you, you'd be saving $60 an hour times the 400, it's 24 grand a year, right? So
Did you want to stay with just the 2 tiers or go to the 3 tiers?
it's open to discussion. I mean, the very city schools aren't really.
What rate would they be at?
I would think they'd be more like
Historically,
because
the
they
full
don't-
rate.
They don't
Stay away from this tier. This would be unique. I think tier for BYSA, but anybody else, I think it's
this is our.
that will create. If we start doing the very city schools, they're going to come right back to us on the ice.
Yeah.
The reason why we
Agreed. So,
so do one for BYSA,
Is contributing
Yeah.
significant monies, they will reduce.
that would open a can of worms for us. That
Been there before.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think of that?
So my main concern is the kids. And I'm just thinking that if looking at spring sports and the amount that this benefit, and I can't foresee like Spalding being like, yeah, let's fork up $120 an hour to get the kids inside in the turf to practice when they're able to, but still just put them out on the field and have the field destroyed. I think that they're just gonna be like, yeah, we're just gonna leave them outside. We're not gonna pay $120 an hour.
Well,
It's-
if you rent from the Civic Center and the high schools,
People swallow.
I don't know if Spalding's in there.
See, I don't-
32's in,
Correct.
you're paying 125.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the spring, softball.
They use their
and
gym, too.
baseball, we're in the BOR, and the batting cages, we kept them.
That's
Correct. We use,
$35.
so we use the, and that's the other thing. We use currently lacrosse uses in here. And so does Barre baseball for $35 an hour. So I understand that there's gonna be turf in there. But to instantly, jump up another $25, because we're forefronting most of the fee for turf. I would say that we're probably back around like 50. I would think would be like an even.
That Spalding, and giving Spalding some relief, but that's up to you.
I'm just thinking, because like our BYSA kids are these local schools that to take into consideration the kids to then, I understand that it's the schools that would be forefronting the money, but it's the schools for the kids. And that's what I think a lot of this turf is going to be also used for, is the purpose of them. And, if Spalding wanted to come up here right now to just use this without turf, they're paying $35 an hour.
And
For
John,
a facility that doesn't work though. I mean, that
Correct.
practice, when I coached lacrosse, we came up here and the kids were slipping all over the place.
100%.
After one practice.
all the cities, the amount their athletic department pays to rent ice. And compared to what they spend on all other sports combined, they rent ice for like a lot of money they spend for like 30 kids. It's unbelievable.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, they pay you know, and then versus the other sports, fine, you know.
Right.
Paying more close to that. I don't see this. Well, I know some of the coaches may be itching to be,
Right.
because they don't like being on it's dangerous,
No,
it's tough on the fields in the spring, yeah.
What about John making it, having, if the discussion comes up as far as that third tier or something like that, just saying it might be something that we have to work out in the future or negotiate or something like that.
Well, see, for us, it's just, like I said, we do that, then suddenly the
Yeah,
hockey
yeah.
is gonna be there.
Right.
And the use of ice is gone like this. So we're having devices, so.
But maybe the way you describe it, this is slightly different from what Bernie just suggested, keeping things the same. Maybe because this is new and it takes a while for people to develop their budgets, we give people a 2-year kind of rest period so they can prepare for the actual rates that will be in place after the turf has been used and loved. When people realize it's sort of like an introductory turf price, but we need to state what it will be on year 3.
How much is ice rent already?
140.
No, 200, it's 200 something.
200 something?
Yeah. So half of that would be 110. It's 220, 120. So you're saying you BYC can move this 50 for the first 2 years? Is that what I hear from you?
So here's a question for you guys. Let's say if it was 50 and we went in at a discount $100, so $50. You're still saving over 20 grand a year off the full rate. You're putting in plus or minus 70 grand. After 3 years, 3.5 years, you've got your investment back to some degree of discount rate. What happens with that? Are you expecting to keep a discounted rate or going up to a full rate? That has to be addressed too.
I think we hope to stay with the whole thing by through process.
But there'll be some sort of agreement as to if replacement, then if BYC, then we'll be kicking in for replacement too, or just one time.
You mean if
Yeah.
there's not enough collected through the replacement fund?
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping that we would be attending, one of us would be attending the meetings, just to see how the accounting process is working out and the costs are working out, to see, making sure that the space is being used and just be part of that process, because we're investing so much money here that we want to make sure that it's going to be a payback of some sort.
If it's used based on just the numbers that you guys provided us, without anyone else, which I think would have other sources, the income should be there to get a replacement easily. 25% of it would be the replacement for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, that's where it comes in with the rates. You guys would basically be getting kind of a lifetime of reduced rates for something that after 3 years, the money is caught up and paid off.
Yeah,
So,
depending on how you look at it. I mean, right now we don't need it to speak of. Lacrosse uses it a little bit. So all these, we're talking about using it 400 hours are almost all new hours.
Yeah.
These are new expenses to us that we wouldn't be incurring otherwise. So we're really not getting a savings. We're going to have to increase the fees for all of our sports now to cover any turf time that we rent.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And then the youth organizations are checking out with so much money and try to keep their rates down for the parents and kids.
We do. Yeah.
I totally get that. After 20 years of that.
Yeah. Right.
So, but it is significant, in terms of having the different tiers and having BYSA, only paying 50, and then Spalding, we only want to pay 50. That's where it gets difficult.
When that's
Yeah, but
going to
they-
happen.
Well,
But they didn't contribute. They didn't contribute.
There's always good counter arguments, but the arguments are going to be made. Spalding would
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
I think we have to, at some point I think like I said, we're running out of time. We got to come up with the rates and we'll see what, well, I'm unintended consequences. We don't know what's going to happen, but I guess make the decision, set the rates, and then we can always.
After 3 years.
Yeah,
after-
a year, 2 years,
Yeah, I was
year
gonna say
two.
5 years.
Well, but even then,
Yeah.
a year from now, we're gonna have First year, I mean, 2 years is gonna be better just to see how it's used, but if there's some blowback or whatever, we can deal with it. It's not like we're set. Everything's
Even
100%
at
set in stone.
reduced rates, it's a good thing
Yeah.
financially for the city.
There's a lot of things that happen down in Montpelier and on a lot of these rinks where this turf is done in all the places, Stowe, everywhere. I mean, they use it for a lot of things other than sports.
Mhm.
I really believe that once you open the door, once you get started, you're going to have an onslaught of people that are gonna wanna come up here, whether it's a birthday party for junior and they wanna rent it for $100 for an hour on Saturday,
Right.
whatever like that. I just, those opportunities are gonna come, but there is a challenge here in trying to get it started the right way and going forward with it.
Well, we should create a boundary then that it would be assessed at the end of either 3 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
So that.
But I think I can say pretty safely though that if the BYSA rate jumped to the full rate, we probably wouldn't rent it anymore. So that wouldn't do anybody anything. It'd be too much.
But-
We'd have to triple our.
But like you said,
registration.
the 5-year plan would be
Yeah.
good where we come back and have the same discussion.
Yeah.
Starting,
Review
and we could certainly see starting in order to sell this turf, and we haven't gotten our board approval on this, but in order to sell the turf to the city, you guys taking advantage of the discounted rate as much as possible to sell it to the city, and whether of that 20,000 savings, we take 5, you take 15, just to get the money down and get it sold to the city. And then us having a reduced rate of the 55 or dollars an hour or something, then revisit after 5 years, and maybe it's the just to get things started here, because we know it's a long-term 15-year turf. Then maybe starting the regular rates at the $110 just to get it kicked off, and then revisiting it or telling everybody that we're looking at this as 3 to 5 years and looking at what the rates might be, and then then they might be jacked up to the 120, and we might go up to 60 or 65 or
Yeah, and I
lower.
agree with what you're saying, what Sue said, or other people said, it's just kind of try to keep it affordable to start, get people here, get them used to it.
Yeah.
Well, see, I mean, at this point, no matter, other than, like you said, with the hours that we're projecting it to be right now, you're gonna get your money back in 2 years, most likely, maybe 3. And then at that point, it's just a profit until you actually have to replace it.
Right.
But you're gonna have a solid at least 12 years before you're having to replace it, that all of that income to
Right.
then keep the rates lowest,
Right.
for
I
the
agree, and
kids.
that's mine going. To
Right.
our argument to the city, that's not gonna refund our.
It doesn't fill
our
the
city
improvement
fund.
fund, it supports
Right,
that.
we won't get any money from it. Our expenditure is gone, and then that's it. Which I think is a great expenditure of our money. And then, but the sell to the city is that you're gonna just be generating money from day one.
Yeah. There's no taxpayer cost.
Right.
There's no budget that
Don't bring it.
Yeah, it was.
So let's
Start
not,
rates
So-
out low then for.
let's
So so right now, like we said, lacrosse would go in there for $35 an hour. If we were to say, 50 or 55 for BYSA. And then, John brought up a great point that if ice is 220, half of that is 110. It would be okay for Spalding to be paying 110 if they're paying 220 right now for ice.
So, all good points. Let's kind of finalize it. We threw out anywhere from the 100 to 120. What do people feel on that? What's the difference? 110. It's easy. 110, or drop it down to 100 to just make it easier. Or we could go to 110 and 55. I mean, one of the problems we've had, I've asked Jeff and other people for a long time, what the hell is it going to cost us to have the building open? I mean, how much time is an employee going to be there? What's it cost to have the lights on? Et cetera, et cetera. Can't get an answer. And I'm not got an answer. It's driving me nuts. I wouldn't do anything in my business without knowing the answer.
Right.
I mean,
I
I think 110, I think 110 should cover it. If it doesn't, we got a problem.
Yeah, I mean, being there lacrosse, it's always been the last 2 years, last couple of years, we were out there, just he'd be there hanging out, so we one employee.
Right. Yeah. Employee and the lights, I can't imagine it's a small.
Yeah, the lights and then now, when we did the lights, you don't have them all on if you.
We go into the auditorium there pretty much every Sunday night for an hour and a half. With just for basketball and like that, and we're getting already between 65 kids in there for an hour, and we turn the lights on, and that's all we do.
What do you pay?
$70 an hour.
Okay, 110.
And there's heat in there.
Yeah.
That works for us. Does that work for you guys? What's that?
Okay, so we need to have a motion.
Okay, whatever. Okay.
So moved.
Okay,
All in favor?
I second it, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, now we need to talk about the total.
Well, just in the VY6, 55, is it? VY6
Mhm.
55. Okay. We didn't really put down necessarily the Spaldings and those people. Are they at 110?
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
We can always prove the process.
I think the only one that honestly you're gonna get kickback from is baseball, because they aren't a part of USA.
Right.
And they're used to going in there right now for $35 an hour, just to keep that in mind.
Yes.
Quick question, what kind of footwear is allowed on the turf?
Anything, we're recommending
But
not
no
muddy boots.
No,
You can wear cleats if you want, but, sneakers are just fine.
okay,
Turf boots.
but small, okay,
You can wear cleats on it,
okay.
Plastic cleats or metal cleats?
either.
I don't know if you want to wear metal.
Yeah.
But,
We're in
but- I mean, it's one of those things that you're just gonna, you are gonna think a little bit more into it, but we recommend just
I would
plain
rather
cleats.
wear sneakers.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we'll get the manufacturer's recommendations,
Right.
and you could say that,
Right.
we're gonna, the use of the field. will
Right,
be
there's
based
no
upon
reason
manufacturer.
not to use stickers.
We'll get those.
It's not wet, it's dry, it's,
So plastic cleats will be fine.
yeah, but
Clean sneakers is just a solid recommendation.
that's concrete. Okay, so we'll go to a two-tier system at 110. That's perfect. I would suggest that we review it in 2 years. Not wait too long. Okay, it's hard enough to get information as it is. And just to see, I mean, maybe, we can adjust these down. I don't know. I mean,
But is it all the revenue going to the city?
yes,
So,
except for the portion that we hold.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
or
right,
replacement, yeah.
so you're gonna wanna, look at that and jack that up as much as possible, because you wanna make sure we get it paid for, and also the escalation costs over the years.
Right. I mean, this is supposed to be a break-even place.
Yeah.
Whether it's the auditorium or the VOR or this building or whatever, the whole goal is to break even. In some cases, we make money, but not enough. So city taxes are financing, right? Can I throw something up there? I mean, and I don't know if we could do this. There's gonna be expenses with this because they're gonna need goals, they're gonna need admin, they're gonna need a storage facility. Yeah. They're gonna need that. Is that something that we could say, okay, it's 25% goes to the field replacement, 10-15% goes to continuing care of upgrades of the thing, and the city gets 60%. I like the idea of that, financial disaster. Yeah. Because there is cost associated with it. I mean, we're gonna, if we have the full rates,
Right.
20, let's say 25%, which should really be the math, if it's
Right.
30 or whatever, would go to the field replacement. And then another 10% would go to the turf, supplies, equipment, maintenance, stuff like that. Because there is cost for that. I mean, if we're gonna have a sheet set up, we need to do that. And if we change fields, someone's gonna have to, well, that's the city cost. So,
Okay, then 65 to the city?
do whatever, yeah. I'd say it's 25, 35 years.
Well, goes to the city, but then it gets dedicated
Well,
to
right.
these funds,
Right.
which essentially defer, the county plan deferment.
Right.
Which the city usually doesn't do. We're doing it for them, saying, okay,
Right, I don't know if they could go back into the civic center fund. If would be an idea that they could do that or not,
Yeah, when we make a motion and make that recommendation. Okay,
to be used for for improvements on that, so. So, where did the batting cages come from? That's the-
I was on the Cephalon committee. Didn't we give a bunch of money for that?
Okay. So,
And
Yeah,
then
we
we did-
did.
That's where we did the lights, we did the batting cages, we did a bunch of stuff.
if we can, any other questions about that?
I think we need to have a motion. I like this.
So
Okay, all right, great, John.
Second.
Okay, and
All in favor?
favor,
Yep.
okay.
that way to figure out the,
Right.
Now, as you're thinking about that, just let you know, there's other things that we go into it. We have the turf, of course, but something else you might want to consider is a center curtain.
Yep.
Because now you can double your rentals 10 times.
Which would be a different tier, and it would be, we wouldn't charge 110 for half of it. But I agree, if you have two groups, you'd split up.
Yeah, that's where you can go from 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. And then, if you have a lacrosse group, we always say lacrosse group scratches over there, you want to split it up and, for the kids, for the kids. But that's only one rental, but it's actually helpful there.
Yeah.
So, and that's the unexpected additional cost. But it would work, I mean, years ago, we used to put some boxes or whatever across the ice. Halfway through. I know
Ice
it prevents pucks and balls and, going,
Yeah.
great, balls are worst. Yeah, I'm sure, but just, temporarily or whatever.
The we're getting already in 2 months from now, the turf's gonna go down, okay? So just give me the 3 days before the turf goes down and what you gotta do to that facility to prepare it to go down. Tell me what else has to happen.
So they're gonna actually, the company that we're buying the turf from is going to send down their crew to install it the first time, so we get all the proper cuts and everything like that. But really, you take the ice out, you clean the surface, and then
The board,
they just lay the turf, the
Huh?
boards stay up.
Oh, yeah.
okay, the boards are
Boards stay
staying.
up, and then they just lay the turf down.
And it's like interlocking panels, so we have to
Mhm.
start
So
here.
in other words, there is a round for this?
Mhm.
It's cut
Yes,
specifically to go
All right,
inside
okay.
the pocket boards.
Okay, you didn't know
Yeah, we did the new boards, when new boards went in, they're,
Stop taking them down.
taking it on the old boards.
that. Yeah.
The new
I get
boards,
that.
they're like.
Well, that should go into, I don't know what it costs to put those boards up and down, but that would be a significant cost there.
They haven't taken them down.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be taken down, they're supposed to be.
They haven't taken them down in years. It's worse for the blocks across. Ever since we put glass on the first time, that makes them about taking the glass and everything else, the boards and everything. It's a whole project.
Because of safety too, because of these new boards,
Yep.
design, everything.
Good.
Good. They're meant to be removed.
So really, when the ice goes out and it's dry, it's about a 1 day process to put the field and you're ready for use. So it's
Maybe two.
simple.
Where's all this material gonna be stored off season?
But that's what we're talking about.
We're gonna have to get like a container truck or something to set that up.
And park it up by the BOR all the time?
Yeah.
Who's paying for that?
That's one of the discussions we had, when we talked about that,
That's gonna have to come out of these funds.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to come out of.
10 or 15% come out of the 10%.
Can you folks give us an idea how much space that really is? How much space it? A full tractor.
Storage container.
So one old storage container should be able to do, and those are some like $6,000 or something. The rent for one. So there's the best. Wait till they have it all done.
Do you see money that's coming from the BOR with sales on the dashers? Would that go towards this, purchase or maintenance expense?
It would definitely go to purchase because we'd be using the civic center fund. So the money that we put down is all from the civic center fund, which is generated from the boards. After that, it depends on how we do it. If we could get 10% of the annual revenues of it, I think then that would be enough for us to pay the annual whatever needs to be done.
Over the meeting. Makes sense.
So $6,000 is a big number compared to somebody's wages for a day. I mean, first,
next fall. 6,000 gonna come from somewhere. But, I mean, coming out of the civil fund, in addition to what we're already paying, will we generate enough revenue through the summer of having this?
You know, I would, basically, there's 20 grand that's coming back from using getting the Montreal deal. I would think that it would be wise to not take that 20 grand, but take whatever known expenses are on the table. And not take 20, but take 20 minus the known expenses, which would be a container.
Yeah. Okay, so we gotta tell the council that we're gonna cough up X number to match what you need to buy it, plus 6 grand for a container, plus whatever else.
Can anyone think of any other definite expenses that would have to be put on the table for this?
How often does it have to be cleaned?
It doesn't unless it throws out.
That much?
You wanna clean. It doesn't actually, I would say maybe, twice a year. Yeah, it really, if you have clean shoes going on it, you really don't have to clean it. If you're, you set out the rules of clean shoes, no food, really, unless a kid gets sick on it, you're not having to clean this.
Yeah, at least once a year, because you do get spit. Gross, I know, spit, sweat, hair and fingernails, toenails, and fingernails, and blood. So you do get those.
How do you
So once a
clean it?
year,
How do you clean it?
You just take like the floor machine that you guys have for the odd.
Yeah.
You take that right over on.
Wow.
yeah, not anything special.
So back up 1 second. Any other known expenses right now? Again, there's a purchase price on it. That includes delivery. That includes everything. That includes the assembly. So the field is completely bought.
You gotta
Big
think,
storage.
you gotta think of that after the fact. They're gonna put it down the first time, but then the city employee is gonna have to pick it up and put it down.
Yes, but that should be part of Jeff's budget.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And he's
get
got
that, but I'm just saying, it's something
That's part of the facility.
Yeah.
charge. It would be actually
putting in the ice and taking it out. Right, yeah, cleaning of it or whatever.
So
Charlie, I think the sooner you get a center curtain in, the better too. It's just gonna make it more rentable.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of what something like that costs?
Capital Soccer, we paid for that Green Mountain Community Fitness, the in-person fitness. I think it was $7 grand, maybe 5 years ago. So 10, yeah,
I didn't take a shot at that number.
Yikes.
And that hangs off a cable of some sort.
it does.
The
Okay.
cable's gotta be high enough that it doesn't interfere with other activities.
Yes.
In this building, so the curtain's gotta
They
be
have,
high.
the same company did the center curtain at Civic Center in Montpelier too.
Okay,
So it looks like $30,000 for the turf, $6,000 for a storage truck, and $10,000 for a center curtain. That looks like our outgoing expense.
So down 46.
Jimmy, can you sell the curtain, each side of that curtain to somebody? Come on, Jim.
I think the revenue was generated for every year would cover that pretty much. There's actually some room. The 5 or 6 banners that we have hanging up on the ceiling. There's room at each end to put new cable up and sell 2 more banners. Now I made still that's $2,000 more. So you could just in banners alone, you'd be getting 10,000 a year.
Actually, you could put another row around up there. Up my,
Not that aggressive. Already when I walk into the store, what do you want now, Jim? So. What's the curtain made of?
Yeah, it's just a mesh.
Is it heavy?
No, it's not.
It's like it starts
It's weighted on the bottom.
hanging anything off those arches or whatever. Somebody's gonna ask the question.
It wouldn't have that kind of weight. It would be heavier. You wouldn't.
Just like the curtain out.
But it wouldn't be heavy enough on a structural point. So
Okay, so I'm prepared to make a motion that the committee recommend that $30,000 plus six, I'm just separating this out for $46,000 total be dedicated from the building improvement fund for turf, curtain, and storage receptacle.
So I get that we're getting a $20,000 savings because we're now willing to do have it be in Montreal. But I think with the amount of money for us also as a non-for-profit to be able to split that 20,000.
I think with them buying the curtain and the storage container.
We're back up to 46.
Yeah. They're, that's really not,
Yes.
they're not really,
50.
and they also are putting our rate at 55, so we could sell our board with.
Because, I mean, we could, if we split the 20% savings, then we split the container, we split the, which is kind of somewhat a wash, a little bit.
So what does that mean for us? What,
This
Yeah.
amount that we can approve.
75,
Maybe 71, I think.
We were at 75.
Yes.
75?
Yes.
So if we do 46, we were gonna do 50, that would be.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
We don't
75 for them, 46 for us. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it is, there's said, but originally it was 75.50. Right, there's $20,000 savings. But we're absorbing 16 of that by this, so that won't off the cost.
Yeah.
But the history major, so right, excuse my math, right.
Should we make it for another 4,000 on there, for Jeff to purchase whatever else he might need to make use of this facility? I don't know what else you would put in there for, lacrosse or.
That's where I think if we could get, I mean, it would take a year, but if we could get that 10% of the revenues, then we'd have money to buy everything. So we wouldn't have it right off the bat. Or 15, okay? I mean, it would, I don't know what we would need. We have the batting cages.
Yeah.
Lacrosse would bring up our own nets for that. Soccer, I don't know if it,
We've had some extra goals
right, so
already.
it's
Not much yet, but
yeah, people, I mean, for the first year, we'd just be getting people here and get customized from.
And as far as equipment goes too, we have no problem like with some of our sports leaving some, soccer balls up here. If, it's just like any of those types of.
We buy it. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay.
all in favor?
We also, and I think we mentioned it before, but we'd like to put up a plaque someplace working with Jeff and Jim, in acknowledging Ron Works, donations.
What's the flag made out of?
What would you like to do?
granite. Gray granite.
It better be very great.
Sure, Paul, we go for that.
I was just gonna say, Paul probably can work something out.
Yeah.
Yes, Polly for
Okay, so as far as other things on this issue, I don't really see anything, going down your, prioritize scheduling for BYSA. The only thing we'd ask there is that you guys kind of say what you want, and then we fill that, and then other people will come in. Once they came in, that would be their time. You couldn't necessarily kick people out. The lines make sense. I didn't really have any other issues on that. Do you guys, anything else you want to address on that?
November 21st, is Tuesday or whatever, before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Figures.
So I think we need to talk again about the procedure moving forward. Are you going to talk to Nicholas and ask
So I'd
him?
like to, we know a lot more about how to present, because that makes it city council. So I'd like to figure out how to, we say consent agenda. Sure.
There are a number of things that are basically bundled together that are viewed as, supported by the council. As a procedural matter, they have to be listed out. Sometimes things on that consent agenda are pulled out for discussion.
Okay.